Now, terrorist group ISWAP is now using armed drones and advanced weapons in Nigeria and Cameroon. They've attacked military bases by dropping explosives from drones and are using modern sniper rifles, making their operations more deadly and precise. Now, these upgrades give ISWAP an edge, and local forces are struggling to keep up. For example, ISWAP can now strike from a distance with less risk to themselves, making it harder for a military to fight back. But without proper defenses against these drones, both countries, and I'm talking about Nigeria and Cameroon, face a growing threat. Experts have actually said that the region needs to step up by investing in anti-drone technology, sharing more intelligence, and also cutting off the weapons supply to these groups before things get even worse. Now, today I'm joined by Terrence Kuanum. He's a security expert and SA to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation on Public Affairs. And we also have Wing Commander Musa Salmanu, retired, a security and development expert. I can see Commander. Thank you so much for joining us on the conversation.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, the last time you were here, we weren't able to have you due to network. Hopefully, would actually have the time to spend with you today.
Well, hopefully so.
Yeah. All right. So you've heard all I've said. How has ISWAP, that's the big question that so many people are asking, how has ISWAP managed to acquire and also weaponize drone technology? What does this signify about their evolving tactical capabilities?
Well, first of all, let me say that a caveat here, because most of the information we have, it's based on what is made available to the public. Therefore, we have not been able to, independently verify the type of drones that they have. Because this is a technology that, at minimum, is something that it's off the shelf. There's off-the-shelf technology in terms of UAVs or even drones that are used for so many purposes. It could be agriculture, it could be aerial photography, and so on and so forth. So there are the ones that are off the shelf, basic technology, and so on and so forth. Now, the analysis of the type of drones that they are using is very important. And as I said earlier on, I will not delve into that. I don't have the technical know-how on that. But based on what we know, these are improvised, yes, the drone technology, which is basic, and then improvised IEDs that are used to detonate or to attack locations. Now, if that is true, that they are using the off-the-shelf technology and basic drone technology, honestly, yes, it's an advancement in their own technology or in their own system, weapon delivery system. But it's not something that is comparable to what the armed forces of these two countries that you've discussed already have, or the other capabilities that they can bring to bear in shaping this. So
when you say it's not comparable to what Nigeria and Cameroon armed forces actually have, are you saying what our local armed forces actually have is more sophisticated than what ISWAP and other terrorist groups have?
Yes, like I said, I keep emphasizing from what we know, it's not comparable. From what we have learned, these are almost off-the-shelf technology they're using, very basic, and they're just improvising. The Nigerian military, especially the Air Force, and I know to a large extent the Nigerian Army also, have more advanced, more capable drones that can, in terms of, if we're saying drone to drone, can outshine, outperform what these have. Then if you add other capabilities that these armed forces have, then you know that it's not, in terms of weaponry, a match. However, we have to take cognizance of the type of warfare that we're having, this asymmetric warfare. And asymmetric warfare actually is the ability of the insurgent or the lesser or the weaker force, in this instance the ISWAP and the rest, to strike no matter how little it is, no matter how, I don't want to call it insignificant, but to a large extent that, if they're able to penetrate, if they're able to deliver, no matter how small it is, then they have scored a big point. So it's not, and I think we shouldn't be comparing. When I hear that people talk about weaponry and say that the either ISWAP or Boko Haram, whatever name they come with, that they are more advanced in terms of weaponry or than the Nigerian military, or including that of Cameroon. I think that is a kind of that's not a very good comparison. This is an armed forces that has other capabilities, that has it's a structured warfare and so on. But these are kind of not organized in the sense armed forces. So the weaponry is not the same. And even the need, Boko Haram, all they need, or any type of such group, terrorist group, is not the intensity of the firepower, actually, in the real sense. All they need is to be able to strike. If they're able to strike, no matter how close or no matter how small it is, the idea is to send fear. It's terrorism as a tactic of war in this insurgency. So you strike isolated, you strike very vulnerable targets, but the idea is that you're sending fear, you're sending the sense of invincibility of yourself and to the hearts of the people around. So in asymmetric warfare, the people, or the hearts of the people, or the people are like, the people are the price. Whoever is, so it's a two or a binary. Government is saying, we will be able to protect you, we will assure you that there's security and so on and so forth, which is the basic responsibility of government. And the insurgents, the insurgents are saying government cannot protect you. And so either government cannot protect you, so come to us for protection, or government cannot protect you, we do as we wish. So any small attack for them is a win.
You know, our local forces are also having sophisticated weapons to match what these terrorists actually have. Some reports did say that some militaries, including that of Nigeria, have actually begun deploying counter-UAV systems, you know, a list such as Lithuanian EDM-4S, Sky Wiper, you know, but the widespread implementation, and that's the implementation that everybody has been talking about, of such technology remains limited due to resource constraints. So in the absence of these resources, how can our regional militaries or local militaries adapt to the threat of warfare, such as the drone warfare posed by these non-state actors?
So first of all, some of those counter-UAV technologies are available within our militaries. Remember, the military for a very long time have been engaged in research and development. We've had an artillery, a signals corps, for example, in the army, and also the equivalents or the same ICT and the rest in the other services. And that's in the military, but including also capabilities that are coming from other, let's say, paramilitary and other intelligence organizations that are within the country. So some of these capabilities are there. Now, what we have to do, or what we have to have sometimes is, now, they are there, but they might not be adequate. That's in terms of numbers. Also, in terms of user application or deployment. So it comes to, are we deploying them in the right theaters, in the right numbers, in the right places? So those are things that we have to kind of reflect and see. Or is it because it's a new emerging warfare that's in this theater now, because the adversary are just adapting to that? perhaps that's the time between when detached.
Hello, Commander.
Their own tactics is changing. Measures are being adopted. Now, what they have to do, that's, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Hello, okay. So what I'm saying is, what the security forces now have to do is to adapt to this new reality and kind of even go ahead to be proactive and imagine.
Well, Commander, in adapting to this new reality, right, Major General Godwin Mutkut, of the Multinational Joint Task Force, did acknowledge the lack of counter-drone technology since, the terrorists are actually using drones, and he talked about, how there's a lack of counter-drone technology, including jamming systems. So what are the barriers to acquiring and also deploying such technologies in the region?
So I truly lack, when we say lack here, we have to qualify lack. Total absence or inadequate number. I will be shocked because I know some of the availability of some of this, even at least to a large extent. So if we say that we don't have adequate number, that is understandable. If we say that they are using higher grade that are evading detection and so on, maybe that is also understandable. And so therefore, if we say that we now need advanced technology in terms of that, then that can be understandable. Now, sometimes also it's we have to be, and here I'm with due respect to my senior colleagues, sometimes when we turn out this information out there, we have to look at the second and third order effects that this information should have. We can't completely say that we don't have the ability to counter these drones that they're using. If we don't have them in the right number, the right quantity, at the right places, then that is understandable. Now we should argue for that to be improved, or the right technology, the higher technology. And having said that, it is important that we note that behind every technology there is the individual soldier. Now, technology or the weaponry or whatever that is brought to the theater alone is not enough to assure you success over the adversary. It has to be the proficiency of the soldier that is using that, their professionalism, and other factors that combine to ensure how effective this, whether they're weapons or platforms, are used. So a lot of times we have to also look at the person behind those weaponry or behind the technology.
Okay. Now, what needs to immediately be done to the porous borders and existing smuggling routes in the Lake Chad Basin? Because there's been so much talk about how porous these borders are, yet it seems little or nothing is being done about it for years. You would agree that these borders are actually contributing to the influx of advanced weaponry?
Yes, and this is why it's also very important that the entire operation or the entire theater is not seen as just a military theater operations. We need all other services that's got intelligence, border patrol, and so on involved in all this. Because first of all, we have accepted the fact that we have a very wide and porous border. And like I used to say, we hide under the cover that there is free movement of persons within ECOWAS, even though the ECOWAS provides for where if you strongly feel that there is that, ECOWAS does not stop you from searching or ensuring that only people that do not portend threat, security threat. I mean, there is exceptions to that free movement of persons and goods within the ECOWAS region. So it's a call for a kind of a combined and joint effort between the military
All right. Well, we will try to reconnect with Commander, but then we also have joining us Terrence Kuanum. He's security expert and SA to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation of Public Affairs. Thank you so much for joining us on the show, Terrence.
Thanks for having me.
All right, now I'm sure you've had time to listen to, what we are talking about and what Commander Salmanu actually had to say about this. Now, in addition to these drones, ISWAP has also reportedly obtained sophisticated weapons, that's firearms and weaponry. What are the implications of these attacks on military installations and that of such advanced weaponry falling into the hands of terrorist groups within the region?
Thank you so much for that question. For over time now, we've been trying to complain about not using technology in the fight against terrorism in this country because we saw it coming when within the Sahel, these terrorists were taking over governments in Mali, in Niger, and in Chad. We knew that by the time the government control is under their hands, they are going to develop sophistication and try to expand their activities within the Sahel. And so we started calling for the use of technologies in the fight against terrorism so that our people will be protected. We thank God that the 2025 budget, we've had a whooping $4 trillion that has been allocated to defense. And we expect that they are going to use this budget judiciously to acquire technologies that will be able to curtail what we are having on our hands. Because in the last 6 months, terrorists have stopped coming out physically to fight this war. They've been using drones to attack their soft targets, and it's a very dangerous dimension that we have on our hands. And so it is quite necessary that we move in that direction if we are ready to secure our people from this fight.
Okay, so now in addition, I just asked Commander Salmanu, what exactly or what measures should be taken, to disrupt the supply chain that enables ISWAP or other terrorist groups to be able to procure such technology? This is for you, Terrence.
Counter technology. We can only counter technology when you are also using technology. And so we expect that our defense will develop a more sophisticated technological base that will be able to fish out these terrorists once and for all. Because our ungoverned spaces have been occupied by these terrorists at the moment, and it's only through technology that you can be able to fish them out. Like an ungoverned space that has been occupied by an enemy, it is very difficult to use asymmetric warfare because the people that have taken over a territory obviously will have better strategies to protect those territories. So when technology comes in, it is easier to fish them out. It is easier for the drones to pick them up and destroy them so that we can regroup and get our ungoverned spaces back and develop strategies that those ungoverned spaces will be put into judicious use so that enemies will not come and occupy them again. And so the level we are going to build our sophistication in technology to fight this war is what is going to curtail, because what we have found ourselves within the West African sub-region is quite dangerous, because these rebels have developed sophistication in Chad, they have developed sophistication in Niger. We know what they have done in Mali. And then with that synergy, it is dangerous to keep fighting them through inferior weapons and technology. We won't be able to succeed.
All right. right, now, before I come back to you, Commander Salmanu, let me hear from Terrence first. Terrence, recently, Russia's defense minister, that's Andrei Belousov, publicly reaffirmed Moscow's willingness to bolster Nigeria's military. What benefits and risks could this partnership bring for Nigeria's fight against groups like ISWAP?
Enhance through collaborations with other militaries to share intelligence and also to train personnel in modern weaponries that are strange to them and XYZ. And so if the partnership is in that direction, it is going to develop both the military of Russia, both the military of Nigeria, by sharing their intelligence, by sharing their combat exercises and trainings, and so many other things that are going to partner together. It is a normal practice all over the world that once in a while nations come together, partner in their military practices, exchange ideas and intelligence, and so you develop yourself to be able to protect your territories better.
All right, so let's hear your thoughts on this, Commander Salmanu, on how you think, what you think the benefits and the risks of partnership with Russia would be for Nigeria, in the fight against terrorism.
That if with such a partnership and the offer of support by superpowers like Russia is welcoming. It's a welcome development because two things: Russia has experience in fighting this type of insurgency or asymmetry warfare, and then secondly, they have the weaponry that could be used. That's technology for this low intensity warfare. So they are coming in, depending on the level of support that is being offered. And they're coming in with the issue of weaponry, but with the issue of experience behind those weaponry. Remember that most of these weapons are not over the shelf. That's even if you have the money, there are not things that you can just go and order from eBay or from somewhere, with just a grip of the hand. So a country or the countries that manufacture original equipment manufacturers have to be willing to sell, even if you have the money and you want to buy. So Russia is showing that it's going to assist in this. It's a welcome development. And I know that there are some of the weapons that the Nigerian military have been using that are from the Eastern Bloc, that's the still from the Russian Federation or the wider Russia then as it was known. So it's welcoming. If it is pursued, it can really have a change of narrative in the theater of operations. And if it is done immediately, that could really turn the table.
All right, now both of you seem to think that it's a positive when it comes to partnership with Russia, and of the moment we know that Nigerian Air Force is set to showcase its capabilities on May 23rd for its 61st anniversary. Right now, this is still for you, Commander Salmanu. How feasible is it for any newly pledged Russian equipment or even training to be integrated in time to strengthen Nigeria's air defense and anti-drone measures?
So we have to remember, like I was saying earlier, that we're not starting from level zero. We have some of these capabilities, and like I said, they might not be adequate in terms of number. They might not be in terms of recency, in terms of the level of technology. But it's not from ground zero. Remember, we have the helicopters from attack helicopters. They are Russian made. So it's not it's not a new partnership. It's not a new relationship. It's building on something that is already existed. Nigeria had a mix that were there. So Nigerians, especially the Nigerian Air Force, have been training, have been acquiring, have been in some level of partnership with Russia. So it's not something new. It's perhaps maybe upscaling it or maybe renewing and ensuring that it comes to bear in the recent challenges that have been there. So it's not something new. It's not something so difficult that you have to start from the scratch. We have personnel that are trained in this weapon delivery systems, and they are capable of immediately these weapons are around to be launched into operation.
Okay. Well, apologies. We'd have to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back in time to hear your final words. Thank you so much. Please stay. Well, thank you so much for staying with us. Now we're about to wrap up the first segment, talking about how terrorists in Nigeria and Cameroon are now using advanced weaponry, to strike. And we still have our gentlemen guests, Terrence and Commander Salmanu, still with us. We're about to wrap up, and lastly, we'd actually love to hear your final thoughts, Terrence, on all of this, and especially on the long-term implications of the current trajectory, if it continues unchecked.
Very much. Fundamentally, I think we know what is on our hands. Our defense also know what is on their hands. The government also know what is on their hands. And for the first time in our country's history, we've had this large budget, even though commensurate with all other defense budgets that are all over the world. We are still in shortage of that, but we expect them to make maximum use of what they have to develop themselves into a sophisticated weaponry and technological-based defense system that will be able to protect our borders and our territories. And we also urge the government, as a government, we are also going to release these monies in good time for them to be able to utilize them and protect our citizens. We need a peaceful country to be able to enhance development, and I think that is what President Bola Tinubu is trying to do by trying to lift the budgets of our defense for the first time in our history. And we expect that this will keep coming more and more for us to be able to achieve these results.
All right. Well, thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time and for speaking to us on this. We've had Terrence Kuanum, security expert and essay to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation on Public Affairs, and we've also had Wing Commander Musa Salmanu, retired security and development expert.